Hello and welcome. This is Rooflemonger, my friends. Today's a big day on the Mai Shiranui front as we have a lot more footage and a lot more information about the character. Looks like there was a press event over in Japan and a lot of different outlets got footage of the character and just showing Mai off and what she can do. And naturally, well, we're going to do our best to break down everything for you. We now know her full move set. We have a good idea how gameplay works on certain moves. And also we get a little bit of a taste of arcade mode as well. So let's start with that. So having been the recipient of many Capcom embargoes myself, they always let you show like the beginning of arcade mode and they'll never let you see the ending. But we see the beginning here and hey, Andy sent Mai a message. And nominally, this is kind of what sets her off on her grand adventure, chasing after Andy as always. Nothing huge there except for major confirmation of one of the main parts of the Street Fighter universe that I love. What's that up in the sky? You're looking at Mai, you're designed to look at Mai, but have a little bit of a closer look over here. What is going on here? Well, it's the primary form of travel in the Street Fighter universe. Yes, in case you are somehow unaware, sumos can fly in the Street Fighter universe using the sumo headbutt. If you look around Metro City, especially around Honda's restaurant, you'll occasionally see a flying sumo. And now randomly here in this Mai footage is further confirmation. So good stuff. I like it a lot. We also see in her search for Andy, Mai, going to the Pow Pow Cafe, runs afoul of Jury. Jury perhaps a little jealous of Mai as she doesn't quite measure up. Her eyes are not looking at Mai's face after all here. And then we're in for a little bit of a rough and tumble experience. So I'm sure the ending of Mai's arcade mode has her up against Chun-Li because why wouldn't it? But hey, there you go. Now we also have Mai's move list here, and this translation comes thanks of Event Hubs, so thank you very much Event Hubs. So frankly, it's about what you would have expected, at least motion-wise. Pretty much everything is just a quarter circle forward or quarter circle back, except for Ryu Engine, which is the DP here. So not complex on the motion front. For command normals, looks like forward medium punch is the overhead, and we have the 2 target combos. And super is about what you'd expect other than the fact that you can do level 2 super in the air as well. Alright, so some cool stuff here. Now before we deep dive into the moveset stuff that we've learned, a few other small things. Mai's drive reversal is indeed actually the flying butt smash. Didn't expect that one to make it. Covered it in older videos, but Mai has quite a bit of rear end based offense. And it looks like, at least in some small part, that it does return in Street Fighter 6. So there you go. Now onto the moveset and gameplay. So one of the things about Mai, if you didn't catch it earlier, is her fans are weak projectiles. You can just punch and kick them out of the air and they will automatically lose to any other projectile. That's the regular fan toss. The held fan toss, that's a bit of a different story. That will trade with regular projectiles, and you cannot punch them. And of course, the held charge projectile is also the one that has the big fan bounce attached to it, and therefore is kind of the much scarier option. With bouncing fans, people got to guess overhead, low throw, basically, the standard mix. And basically, it's going to be a core part of her engine as it's going to give her a lot of her combo ability and a lot of her pressure. And naturally, the enhanced version by itself also bounces. And that's the fast enhanced version. If you hold the enhanced version, then she'll throw 2 fans. These don't bounce unless you have the fire buff up. So basically you choose, do you want more projectiles on screen or do you want the bounces? Also, you can double enhance the fan toss, and if you do, then those get the bounces. And this is basically a free follow-up. It does not cost more meter. I thought this was going to take like an extra bar or something. No, this is completely free of charge. So you can definitely just fill the screen with a lot of trash and 2 bouncing fans. That's kind of a big deal. I like it a lot. Seems worth the cost. Another thing I'm happy to see is Ryu does destroy projectiles, including the heavy charge fan. So it's not just the weak fireball, right? So this is a trait she's always had in King of Fighters games, and it's just here to stay. Looks like light Ryu does not knock down, leaves them standing, so potentially mix-up scenarios here. And also has some good range to it. In KOF, you could always use this as a poke, and it looks like it's going to remain as such here. And looks like safe on block as long as you space it correctly, as you should. The heavier and enhanced versions are basically combo fodder, like heavy you can go into Ryu Engine, the DP, and EX here you see goes into Ninja Bees for some good corner carry. So basically light medium, pokes, small combos, and the heavier stuff, bigger combos. Speaking of combos, EX Ninja Bees is also a launcher and leaves you airborne, so you can go for like an air-to-air jump medium punch into the Musasabi no Mai dive attack. So if you got a dump meter, this looks like a place for it. And yes, Ryujin, the DP, is frame 1 air invulnerable. You can use it in all the ways. You can use a regular, uppercut style move, which is great. Mai traditionally doesn't have good defense, but she will in Street Fighter 6. And yes, EX is full invulnerable. Now, for Musasabi no Mai, as a diving style move, it covers a lot of ground, although it looks like it's very punishable on block. In King of Fighters, usually you could space it and make it safe, or even plus on block, depending on how you did it. But here, apparently not so much, although EX in the corner does give a juggle OK knockdown. And the super, so Kagero no Mai, the super that gives the flame buff and all the various flame buff attacks, right? It looks like this actually is the only possible way to get the flame buff. And as we've seen and talked about before, the flame buff basically gives you the world. So it looks like Mai is going to be a character that's going to be heavily invested in doing the level 1 super a lot more than the average member of the cast. It is strike and throw invulnerable, like you would expect, not projectile, but still, whatever, right? So it's still good in a lot of those ways, but yeah, if you want those buffs, then you have to do the level 1. It doesn't appear you can get the buffs any other way. Also, looks like super deadly ninja bees cannot go through projectiles, so that's not great, but hey, there you go. And as for the level 3 super, well, it's the big cinematic super, does a lot of damage. We've seen it already, and the critical art version was what opened the video. Looks cool, basically everything it needs to be. I do like Ryu does it. When you do the critical art version, then it goes like black and white to show it's a bit more serious. And plus you get the Ninja Bee's elbow at the end as well. So now going back to the flame buff. Basically everything is buffed by the flame buff, and everything you do takes 1 flame buff stock, right? So that means you're going to burn through them actually quite quickly. So when Mai has the buff up, yes, she's actually like sort of messed up. Like here's the regular EX fan toss giving bounces on both fan hits with the buff up, like we mentioned before. Ryuenbu uses the buff points, Ryujin does, Ninja Bees does, everything does. So once again, you're going to go through this real fast. So remains to be seen how it'll go competitively, but you're probably going to want to save this for like set play stuff, right? You get your buff points up and then figure out your sequence of events. Buffed level 2 does go through projectiles, by the way. And yes, so the level 1 and level 2 super both get buffed if you have the flame buff up. Mai's going to be like kind of set play heavy just naturally, given the nature of the fan bounces and all that kind of stuff. So you're probably going to be aiming for using the flame buff for your set play experience. So there you have it. So a lot more details on Mai and how her gameplay works in Street Fighter 6. Overall, just a lot of confirmations of what we already suspected. That's not bad in and of itself. A few things I'm a little disappointed with. We'll need to test it ourselves, right? Seeing it in the hands of the press isn't the same as you being in training mode yourself, right? I'm a little disappointed. It seems that Musasabi no Mai is just always punishable on block. Like, my fear was they'd make it too much like Condor Dive, and it looks like they sort of did. I know it can never be as strong as it was in King of Fighters, but hopefully if there's just a proper spacing, at least it won't be directly punishable, it'd be like -3 or something. All the buff stuff looks as strong as it's ever been throughout how we saw it in the initial trailer. But yeah, the fact that the buff is directly locked to your meter and only the level 1, that means unless there's like specific setups or she has really good knockdown Oki after her level 1 super, you're not going to see it that often unless you're really trying to force the issue. It seems like it's certainly going to be a rarer thing. It's not going to be an every round, every match thing. And if you're looking to make it feel special, then sure, great. Also, not in the footage I'm showing here, but it was shown that the flame buffs do not persist between rounds. So if you do your level 1, get your 5 stocks of flame buff up, and then die, you wasted your meter, buddy. You have to be very careful in how you use it. Going to be a very precious resource. That all said, looks like Mai is going to be shaping up very well. Very excited to get my hands on her myself. And of course, when the time comes, when she launches, combos, guides, all that kind of stuff you'd expect on the channel, it'll be there in spades. That all said though, my friends, that is the end of the video. So thank you very much for watching. Hope this video has found you well, and go out and play some Street Fighter.